down here and you can get out. I do think real quick is that had we had that presence of the boots moving in when they had that sweet scene, and maybe if Caesar watched as Armando went out and gave himself up, so that it would distract, I've been looking for the ape, and they took him away. That would add so much tension to what is weighing on Caesar and what he knows. Right. There's a huge... I mean, that may be amongst the things that we talk about, missed opportunities. That may be one of the most obviously missed that they've done in 3 movies. That should happen.
I needed a reason for him to feel this... being this peril to strip naked and get into a cage with a bunch of orangutans, not knowing where it's going.
Wait, let's talk about an ape stripping naked again.
Oh, yeah. One of the things I did want to point out is that 30 seconds into this minute, we get kind of that familiar puff of air through the cheeks that he used in the last movie.
Yeah,
I thought that too. If only he would have done a little bit more of the outward of it, but it was... So my thought...
The makeup may have changed a little bit. The prosthetics might have been a little bit different.
Now, I want to be fair because Sean had a point he was trying to make when we kind of steered in. Was there something you wanted to throw in?
Yeah, I didn't even think about this till now. So Armando told him this is where gorillas and apes are brought into the city and stuff. How does that help him escape? Because it's cargo being brought in, so I join the cargo being brought in, which means I'm brought deeper into the city. That doesn't take me out. That just takes me back to the city.
I guess we don't know, but that's kind of what appears to be how.
And that is what is going to happen.
Right.
Well, they're taking them to ape management.
It would have been nice then, okay, let's go back and fix that scene before, because I now understand why they shot this scene the way they did. You cut down that action sequence. Here you've got one setup, and I mean one setup because of lighting, and that camera stays in the same place. They're just zooming in on that. If they're moving that camera at all, they're moving it 3 feet, refocusing and going.
Right.
So you're
into the cage itself.
Yes,
and that's
economically, it's a much more frugal scene. The
Correct.
Scene that needs to be here again. Boot heels moving in, Armando taken away. If Armando says, I would love for you to get away, but the best thing may be for you to assimilate in, to become a part of it.
Yeah, that'd be different.
If he had said that, you will be safe there. I will find you. I will get you. Or then at least you have... Why is Caesar doing it? He has hope that he's going to be found by his father figure. But we don't have any of that.
Or you could have done it... Armando, because we know Armando is not going to get out from the police because... Let's be honest. He's going to go in and say something, and then they're going to keep him there. So he says,
first off, he's foreign.
There you go. So,
true.
And so he says, "All right, Caesar, go to the docks. Their ships come in and out all the time. Hide on them. I will come and find you somehow," or something like that. So then he goes down to the docks. He sees the ship that he wants to get on is already going out. He's got his clothes on. He sees guards coming. That's when he is forced to strip down. He's not planning on doing this. He's forced to strip down and then hide with the apes because guards are coming instead of, all right, you should go down there because they're coming in.
And if this movie had a bigger budget, that's probably the way you do that.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. But I started off disliking the scene. It was probably a little bit harsh to it last week when I made fun of the little turny lock thing.
Yeah.
Now I kind of like its simplicity, that
it's telling the story that he can read and he can solve the problem to get into what he needs to do.
He's smart. He's
smart.
And when he hisses at those apes, going back to what we were talking about before there, when he hisses at those apes, he's also asserting himself as their leader, and they acquiesce very quickly.
They do. He gets them to calm down, which is pretty. That tells us a little bit more about his character and what his abilities are.
So I'm now looking at our director taking control, and maybe Dane's on set helping with. I don't know that that's the case, but somebody is saying these are things that will benefit the story more than an action sequence. Yeah. Somebody figured that out.
Also, that lock is not ADA compliant, Americans with Disabilities Act, where you have to be able to have a latch instead of just because if I don't have a hand that can grab a circular thing, come on.
I'm looking back at the costumes of the cargo workers that are there, and I'm like, man, they just
get that speed suit.
1991 was this supposed to take place?
Like 92 or
92.
92, yeah. Man, everybody just gets their own turtleneck. Like they're in their.
You got your jackboot thug turtleneck.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's literally like a mash of a bunch of looks. You got the turtleneck with the jumper with the lace-up boots that are cleanly white.
Your jumpsuit is tucked into.
Yes. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. Whoever did this really didn't know what they were
think of
Village People?
Use your words.
No, it made me think of, oh shoot, what's the movie? Crap.
Bigger than a bread box.
I don't know. Oh, crap.
Dang it.
Ryan,
I don't know. Dang it.
who's in it?
Kubrick.
2001.
Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork
Okay,
Orange.
yes.
It made me think
Okay,
of
yeah,
Clockwork
as soon as you
Orange.
said
I mean, the hat's not quite
Yeah.
a bowler, but it's the same kind of black
Yeah,
hat with
yeah.
a little black shirt and then kind of a jumpsuit and your
But if those
pants tucked in the
jumpsuits
jumpsuits.
weren't, they're kind of pinkish purple, right?
Those were white in the these were gray, but the ones in
Are they
Clockwork
gray?
Orange were pink.
Are the ones in our
Which
movie
ones are we
gray?
talking about?
In my
Which
mind, they look purple. I don't have that image in front of me, but it's just whoever did the costume design panicked on this one.
Yeah.
Went to the bulk store.
They did.
Where can I
That's-
get it in bulk?
Well, also, I'm sorry. Hey, I love my boots with white laces. That is what you're wearing. Let's go with it. That's the worst part of it all. I can live with the turtlenecks, but when I saw the boots, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? These people should be dirty, nasty people. I was just
They're
watching.
working on the docks. Come
I
on.
was just watching, and
With
this
apes.
is totally unfair. It's a more of a realistic thing, but Netflix's Narcos Mexico. I was finally getting around to watching the first episode of the season, and everything there's dirty, and the people that are working, doing the cocaine look nasty. If you're making an ape movie. At least look at that and go, yeah, you look at that and you go, okay, that's dirty. They're dealing with ape shit because
They're on
Sean
the
loves
dock,
that they're
yeah.
flinging shit.
Uh-huh.
You're dirty.
just
You're
throwing
not
it.
This is
pristine.
supposed to be the future. I mean, so
In the year
Why?
1990.
I had that discussion of all people with my mother not long ago. We were talking about film. She saw the current Little Women, which I think I've said before. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. But my mom.
Every time I think of Little Women, I think of The Simpsons. They had an episode where Moe is reading to people. The last line, and I know this is not the last line of the movie. They were no longer little girls. They were now little women. And he closes his book. All right.
So my mom tells me, hey, I loved it, except my mom is a former seamstress years and years ago, put my dad through school, etc. At the very end, I just looked and it was all so pristine, and that's not the way the world should look. And so we start having this conversation about the way the world should look. And my mom hates science fiction. I bring up, hey, Star Wars is this famous thing where it was a junky universe, and he was very purposeful about that being that used universe. When you make a future world, let's look at Blade Runner. We've used that how many times? That's a dirty world too. People do not. It is very futuristic, but they don't look clean. I don't understand this disconnect when this is a future world and I want to look clean. I know that's a long way to get to that point, but I don't understand it.
But I mean, this era of sci-fi, they did. You can even look a little bit few years further and look at the Battlestar Galactica. They were a
original
ragtag crew on the run of whatever, and everything looked really, really pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Their costumes were perfect. There was nobody looked rough. Nothing looked weird. I mean, they were all. I mean,
by the way, when I was 12 years old and that came out, I was going to marry Loretta Swit. Wasn't that her name, the blonde one? Oh my God, I was in love with her.
Well,
wait, in a Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah, the blonde woman.
No, it wasn't Loretta Swit.
What was her name?
Loretta Swit was from MASH.
Oh, you're right.
I don't know what her name was, but I remember her. Yeah.
The blonde lady. I was just, oh my God. I was like, you are an angel
Well, they
put
were all
upon
pretty
television.
people. I
Well,
mean, they
yeah.
definitely did one with pretty people for that show.
Well, think about it. I mean, obviously, as technology gets better and stylized things get better, things look better. Comic books from the 30s and 40s do not look like comic books right now. Art styles have gotten more detailed and changed. So back then, in the 60s and 70s, you'd have little smudges on people's face, and that means they've been out in the wilderness for a month
they
or
had a little
two.
piece of coal.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Oh, I'm there, and
oh.
2 days worth of stubble. Today, you've got prosthetics that looks like people's heads are
That
hanging
look
off,
like
and
they've
they
got
got
a 5-day
attacked by
shadow
a
and all that
bear,
kind of
stuff
stuff,
like
yeah.
that.
Lorette Spang is her name,
There you go.
apparently. I don't remember Spang, but okay. Can we? By the
don't
way,
even remember that name at all.
when we get into in between this week and we're talking about things, can we also throw in a little things like Battlestar Galactica talk that kind of
the
old opposed to the new take on that kind of thing?
No,
You're
we're done.
such an asshole.
We
God.
have no.
You're such a bitch, Richard.
We have 2 out of 3 say nay.
Wait, hang on. Sean slams in a beer.
No.
Your vote is negated.
Okay, so let's get to
can't
kind
do
of
it in a glass bottle. I know how to do that.
Let's get to
Yes,
this
sir.
minute.
Yes, let's do it. Come on.
So
Meanwhile,
now
we get to ape management.
I'm sorry. Get back to apes, damn it.
We are 52 seconds in, and we get to the first thing that says ape management, indicating that
So
this
we
is,
do see that at the end
Yes,
of
right,
this
we do
minute.
see
Okay.
that.
ape,
Because
ape
we're gonna
management. And we see some steps, and we see some dirt, and I'll be honest, this looks like the same shopping mall
It
from
does.
earlier. This exterior, they just put a sign up and shot it at night from an angle.
Is this part? Is it possible that like Logan's Run is an enclosed area where the people live, that maybe our population now is living in enclosed or
cities?
Closed off cities,
we
quarantine
haven't
zones
possibility,
or anything
yeah.
like
Well,
that.
at this point, we
They're not
haven't
talking
seen
about it, but it
more
could
than
be.
this courtyard-ish
We
area.
haven't.
Yeah.
It almost
We've
lends
seen the
itself to
courtyard,
that thought.
the dock area, and flying. There is a city there, so it's not enclosed like a mall, like Logan's Run, because we know there are skyscrapers because they flew in the helicopter.
When they flew in, we saw like the what's it control or the
Right.
So we don't know if it's a Judge Dreddish. We got a Mega City 1 here,
yeah.
and then we got another city over there. We don't know. We just know there is a
they're using apes
city
to bring
here,
them in,
a dock, and
Armando wants to promote a circus
a
somewhere.
circus that's outside of town.
Yeah.
So two things to this whole thing. I both find it comical, yet so absolutely starkly beautiful whenever dystopian films just use words like ape management. You know, when it's almost comically put there, but at the same time you think, wow, maybe the society's gotten to the point where it really is just
Well, I assume that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't say Hassline's facility for ape management and beautification. You know, like it doesn't have like,
and it doesn't
have a
offices.
cheeky picture of him out there.
Exactly.
Like that.
And it doesn't say offices over here and security over here and break down everything. No, it's just ape management be here.
And the second quick thing I have to throw in the endless succession of future podcasts that we could do, I do a Logan's Run minute.
Oh, I'm sure.
Did you ever like Logan's Run?
Well,
As a kid, it doesn't hold up. I'm going to tell you, if you watch it now, it's heavily flawed.
No, I did as a
But I
kid.
loved it
I
as a
did as a
kid.
kid. I actually watched it, I think, on my 30th birthday.
Wait,
That was
And,
last
again,
week,
and
right?
again on my 40th.
Oh, wait, that was last week, right?
Yeah, it was last week. No, I think I did. I think there was like this intention to actually watch it on those
As one of those
monumental
dates,
renew.
yeah. You start looking at your palm.
That would just be fun for us, since a lot of it was shot here.
Carousel.
In Dallas.
It was shot in and around Dallas and in Fort Worth. It was Fort Worth is where
Water Gardens.
The Water Gardens. They did some shots at North Park Mall. They did some shots at the Apparel District.
Yeah.
So that'd just be a fun thing if we ever want to throw that in. Anyway, I digress.
So where does exactly we see ape management?
We see ape management, and we
that's
also
it.
see them starting to deliver.
Starting to decay,
because
yeah.
this is the thing where you can tell that they're unit scouts today are different than unit scouts back then. Unit scout being going out and trying to find locations that you're doing and working on stuff like that. It just feels you don't just deliver apes and just walk them down into a cage. You have them on the back of the truck that goes down a ramp that takes them to a secure facility that you unload them in, instead of just, hey, let's walk these people down the stairs and put them in a cage.
Well,
That's how we're delivering.
I think that when we get to, because I just the other day watched Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
And that's the first, or is Rise the first one? I never can remember
the names.
Well, I haven't watched them yet, so be careful.
No,
I am.
the names make no sense because it's Dawn, Rise, and War. So, does Rise happen? I think it's Dawn, Rise, War.
I think it is Dawn.
That makes sense.
All I want to say is that when we get to those films, because the other day it's on, and of course Shelley walks in.
I do the exact same thing. I see it on, I just put it on.
I put it on while I'm doing some work. She's like, Jesus, can you not get enough apes? I said, no, I'm actually, while I'm working, allowing myself to watch modern filmmaking techniques with an ape story. Yeah. And you get a lot more of the sensical kind of
delivering them properly.
This is how it works. They go here. It makes a lot more sense.
Moving them from a secure facility. Well,
but that's just a style and
put them in
the years difference of filmmaking.
But it's years of difference of filmmaking, but it's not like these intake processes didn't exist in the 70s. We had zoos and stuff like that to bring people in. It's just they didn't want to spend the money to do that.
Yes.
They just said, we can walk them down and put them in a cage versus building a ramp, having a car, and having everything
so for the audience that couldn't actually visually see this, when we see ape management, we see a cage, which we assume is the same cage that Caesar is in. Mm-hmm. It is quickly moving towards a series of steps, and so a moment you're like, they're not going to get that down those steps.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, there's no way they can. And the crate appears to be on some type of wheels so they can slide it off. And there are about 6 or 7 what they call handlers. And these are people that actually look like security guards, but they're formally called handlers. And they're moving to it. And we kind of end about the moment that they're opening the door to bring the apes out. Now, I, at this moment, could not tell if that was Caesar or his cage, but the assumption is that it is.
Right. And just to kind of almost finish this up, I agree with you that it's a money thing, but I also think it's a 1970s production thing where what they really want is to get us in with the scene that's about to come.
Right.
They are economically saying we got to get to the brutalization and torture that's going to occur. And I think that